Focus up, nerds. It's time for another Mythic Championship draft with me, Ronnie Knight, and joining me, my good friend in colour. Well, I don't want to tell you with that brush. I've got Simon Gertzen with me along for the ride as well. Luis Salvatto, Player of the Year and an all-around superstar. This guy knows his way around Magic cards, and we're going to see how things shook out for him in the draft pod. Of course, we've already seen a draft. We've already seen people getting it done down there. It'll be interesting to see the other side of the table today, Simon.
Yeah, and he's not sitting right next to Paulo, so we won't see the direct dynamics of these two players, but still, it's a brand new limited format. We have to figure out, these players have to figure out what's actually good and what just looks.
I mean, we already know. Obviously, we've covered it. We have a comprehensive insight into it, but the players still, excuse me, I went a very solid 2-1 in the
Oh,
coverage.
really?
Yeah.
Because you got to buy.
Neil didn't turn up, but it still counts. In any case, my friends, there's the table on your screen. We're going to see, as you can see, Luis Salvatto, an MPL player, almost directly opposite from Polo Vito Dama de Doritos there. And this Argentinian superstar has not come here to make friends. He's got enough of them, Simon, and he's here to try to crack some skulls. I got the chance to peek in on a little of his draft, I have to say. And, well, look, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but we'll see exactly how things go there. But this table's pretty stacked. Shahar Shenho, Oliver Polak-Rotman, quite a few big names down there.
It's almost like we picked it because it's so stacked.
No. Just roll a dice, and every time we're lucky. It's fantastic. Anyway, let's get underway now. Luis Salvatto, pack one, pick one. Let's have a look at what he's working with in this first pack here. Of course, fans of professional Magic will, of course, be very aware of Luis Salvatto's win. He's a mythic champion. He won a Mythic Championship or a Pro Tour back then. It was Rivals Vixalar with a very, very powerful modern deck, Lantern Control. But, of course, it's a bird of a different feather this time around. Looks like we're going full MCU here. Commence the end game, the first pick for Salvatto. A strong rare out of the gates.
Absolutely. The other cards you can see there at the top of the pack, Liliana's Triumph, for example, but ultimately a 6-mana instant that generates card advantage and creates an army. A Mass X can be very, very powerful.
And this is a hallmark of this limited format, Simon. Powerful rares. Often you're going to open a pack and just slam the rare into you as a first pick situation. But, you know, it's not always the case. But I would say, generally speaking, the rares are of a pretty high caliber in this set.
Yes, I think the overall power level is very high. We will probably discuss this during this draft, but also we will see it in the first 3 rounds of today. This is a powerful set. The commons are powerful, the uncommons are powerful, and of course rares and mythics are powerful. The planeswalkers are, I wouldn't say they are pushed, but just because they are planeswalkers, they are quite powerful.
Yeah, indeed, and very appealing as well. And looks like the planeswalker has. Oh no, Teo's still hanging out in that pack, as indeed is Living Twister here. And Salvatto seems to have his eye on it. It's at the front of the pack. Obviously, not the most natural combination with Commence the Endgame, but
it's not, especially because it has this red and green activation cost. On the other hand, Luis is not really into the blue lane just yet. He should really focus on picking the most powerful cards now and then figure out things later. Maybe he's going to end up Gruul, maybe he's going to end up blue-red, splashing green, maybe Living Twister is not ending up in his main deck, but this is exactly the point in a draft where you are giving yourself the best shot at getting the most powerful deck possible.
And you can see their Living Twister rated 4 out of 5 stars by our coverage grading system there. Just a little hand for any players who are sort of newer to the limited formats of Magic. It's something to sort of keep your eye on as we head through the picks here. Commander Dreadhorde only commanding a 2-star rating, Simon, along with Crunch Wrangler there, another option that's been brought to the front of the pack. You've got to keep your Crunches wrangled.
Yeah, I mean, Crunch Wrangler is decent. Command the Dreadhorde is not that great. It looks super powerful, but it has this downside that it's only good when your graveyard is stocked, and then you get all that damage. So I'm actually surprised that Luis likes it that much that he picks it here.
Well, he's having second thoughts about this pick here, Commander Dreadhorde. It does look like he's going to take it. Oh, maybe he's going to maybe stick it in his EDH deck there after the tournament's over. But in any case, so 3 rares from 3 packs, Simon. All different colours.
Do we have 5 colors?
Not quite. We need a white card.
5.
And look, now we're going to take the Law Rune Enforcer here, says Salvatto, going full Wooburg. But Bloomhulk, another powerful card here. A great rate, even without the Proliferate.
This card is nuts. 4 mana usually gets you a 3/3 vanilla. I mean, that's these days that's a bad 4 mana common. But this one is 4/4 and proliferates, which can easily be an additional +1/+1 counter, an additional loyalty, or in the right deck, it can just be absolutely bonkers.
Easy pick here for Salvatto, but Simon, even if that Bloomhulk didn't have the rules text, even if it was just a 4-mana, even if it were just a 4-mana 4/4, you're still slamming it.
Yep.
Great card here. So things shaping up for Salvatto as we head now to pick 5 now.
I am a bit concerned about where his draft is really heading. Is maybe this Bloom Hulk a sign for him that green is open and that this should be his guiding light through this draft? Because everything else seems just to be, I'm taking the most powerful cards. I'm going to worry about colors later.
Looks like it's happening again here with Spark Harvest. This is an unconditional removal spell. We don't have a lot of them, but costing 5 mana is no joke. There aren't a lot of tokens flying around to sacrifice, but I mean, if you've got like a smaller mass creature, maybe a little zombie or something.
Amass is actually the token generation of the set, and it's not. When you first read it, you think, oh, I have to make this big army, but you don't have to. You can just also sacrifice your 1/1s all the time.
Helps you double spell as well on turn 4. If you can amass turn 3, cast another 3-drop, kill something. Here's Vivian's Grizzly now for Luis Salvatto, a source of card advantage, and a reasonable rate. 2/3 for 3 is not that exciting, but
I do also like Arlen's Wolf quite a bit because I think any kind of evasion in this format is something that you should be very happy about. One of the worst things that can happen to you is when you can't reasonably attack a planeswalker.
you can't pressure planeswalkers, yeah.
And so, of course, flying is at a premium in this set. You will notice that there are a lot fewer flyers overall.
And Simon, as we have a look at this next pack here, there's one creature with trample. I think at common. There's only one because a lot of the static abilities, I was talking to Toffel about this yesterday, a friend of mine, he was saying that a lot of the static abilities come from planeswalkers. A lot of these keyword abilities come from the static abilities of planeswalkers, and as a result, we don't see the level of evasion that we normally see in these formats. So evasive creatures are at a premium.
Smart pick here, Gateway Plaza. After these, after these first few picks,
Bit buck wild so far.
We should maybe mention the fact that this set has multiple ways to generate 2 manas of any color. So if you can get New Horizons, for example, in your green deck, then you can actually splash, also Fireman Vessel, you can splash crazy cards. Commence the end game in your green-black deck.
It's not out of the question.
Suddenly possible.
And another card that's going to make that easier for him here, Simon, is Centaur Nurturer. This card, man, this is exactly the kind of card I want to play in Limited. It's got a nice defensive body, gaining your life, adding mana of any color. Like, this is exactly where you want to be if you're dirtling around in green.
It's maybe a little bit too clunky or not splashy enough for a 4-star rating, but considering the 3-star rating, it's a good 3-star, definitely.
Looks like Salvatto is going to extract a 1/5 from this pack. Not an exciting card, Simon, but another nice defensive body.
Yeah, these are the kind of cards I like to play with. It's just, you know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, there's no frills. There's no tricks.
Which isn't much.
It's not much. Well, there's that Arlen's Wolf now, another one coming round. And as you say, an evasive creature, 3 power for 3 mana. You're not writing a letter to mum about having picked this card. You're not running around the table high-fiving everyone, but yeah, you'll take it. Another Gateway Plaza now for Salvatto, an option for him. Banehound as well, but no, just another option to fix here, and I like that. I think that's a reasonable spot.
Oh, absolutely. Also, Banehound is just not a very good card overall.
Totally Lost, Sahili Silverwing, and looks like Invade the City as well, but it's going to be Totally Lost. And now as we round out the picks for pack number 1 with a steady aim, the last pick, we'll see second last pick. We will see exactly what the last pick is there. It's a Duskmantle Operative. Simon, how are things shaping up for Salvatto so far?
Colorful, very colorful. We're going to see his cards, his picks now, and you'll notice that after starting with pick 3, the Command the Dreadhorde that I found a bit surprising, the green and black cards really started flowing. And this means that green-black is what Luis is focusing on now, and he's keeping at the back of his mind the fact that he has a double blue and a double red card that are both probably more powerful than all of his other cards. Yeah,
it's a tricky position to be in when the bulk of your deck is sort of offset by very highly powerful rares that kind of incentivize you to go into that color. So what we're gonna be able to explore in the coming pack, Simon, is how high Salvatto rates his chance of splashing, whether he starts prioritizing things like Mana Geode, whether he's going for things like New Horizons as a priority pick, so we can start. I mean, splashing a card with a double mana symbol cost, like Commence the Endgame, that's not a trivial matter, but you're saying it is possible.
Yeah, and the problem here is you don't really want to splash it with Gateway Plazas. With Gateway Plazas, you want to splash single colored cards, and you really want those Firemind Vessels to cast something like Commence the Endgame. However, I think Luis is doing a very smart thing here. He has this green-black avenue. If that stays open and he opens good cards in those colors, he can just build a solid green-black deck. I still could see him, for example, go for green-blue if he gets blue cards in this pack, and then he's still open to, for example, splashing some black cards.
Well, let's have a look at what's going on in this pack here. Deliver Unto Evil, one of my favorite cards from the set in terms of art. Seb McKinnon been absolutely killing it recently with some of the art that he's been up to. But Jiang Yangu and Challenger Troll, very, very high-powered uncommon picks here, and I think either of these would be defensible.
Yes, green is the one color that he's almost certain to be in, and Jiang is very exciting because we were just talking about these splash possibilities. On the other hand, Challenger Troll, similar to Bloomhulk at common level, it's just such a pushed card.
Yeah, man, it's just got. I mean, it's got a big body for a relatively competitive price here, and then the fact that it's just going to mow down opposing chump blockers, that sort of thing, it is really huge. But man, this is a tough pick. I'm glad I'm not in this position.
There's also a band together in the pack, so this is really for green drafters. This is a rare pack of powerful cards. I like this pick.
Oh, look at that, the big pump fake. It looked like it was going to be Challenger Troll, but Jiang Yangu ultimately ending up in the picks here. So that's pack 2, pick 1, and you think it's a good one, Simon?
I wanted him to take the card. I didn't expect him to take the card. I thought there was a danger that it's a little bit of fancy play syndrome, and of course, we are lacking the experience with the set. But
look at this. Christmas has come early. Courtesy of Offler, the Crocodile God. Here is God Eternal Bontu. In the words of Maybe Bluth, that's a freebie, Simon.
Well, this is a 5-star card easily. If you just look at the first line of text, you have a 5-mana 5/6 with Menace. And then it does a bunch more stuff.
Yeah,
it's basically unkillable.
Draw cards. I mean, this thing does it all. It slices, it dices. It's available for yours for one easy payment of 5 mana, and it's the easiest pick Luis Salvatto has ever made in his entire life. That's a gift. That's a gift. He's obviously got to play to his left, not playing black. Otherwise, you'd absolutely slam that into your picks here, and Salvatto will be very happy with that.
Would you call it a God Pharaoh's gift?
It is. It's a God Pharaoh's gift. Yes. All hail Offler. And let's move on now and see what the next pick is. There's that Challenger Troll. He'll be happy with that. But a Casualties of War out of nowhere. Oh, my goodness. It's all of his Christmases come at once here, Luis Salvatto. Yep. He can't believe it.
So I think we can just start the discussion about blue or red cards.
Yeah.
It's just a green-black deck with amazing quality.
Incredible bombs now. Because you were saying before, like, the bulk of the green-black cards that he'd taken weren't up to snuff compared to stuff like Commence the Endgame. Now with Bontu and with Casualties of War, he doesn't need to look for a third color for that power.
And what we call this concept of staying open in pack 1 is also sometimes called surfing. He's surfing the wave of what is coming to him. He picked a blue card, he picked a red-green card, but then he noticed that black and green seemed to be underdrafted, and apparently there was enough to also make sure that to his left those cards weren't being picked, because usually you don't expect to get a god second pick or such a powerful card in pack 3.
Well, he's very happy to have picked up both of them there, so things really shaping up well now for the Argentinian in pack number 2. Looks like a band together. Things quieting down a little bit. This is a great card. It's a great card, but isn't certainly on the same power level as the cards we've just seen already.
No, the issue with green is that you have kind of weird removal compared to the other colors. Even white is pretty good at removing creatures these days in limited. So, and even blue, I have to say, can do some things with creatures. But Band Together is, if you can pull it off, it is a removal spell for 3 mana.
Herald of the Dreadhorde under consideration here for Luis Salvatto, but Eternal Taskmaster as a 2/3 2-drop is just at a premium. There are so many 2/2s and 2/1s flying around, and their impact in this format is so limited by cards like Eternal Taskmaster, by all the other 2/3s, the high toughness creatures, and this is an above rate card, Simon.
Mm-hmm. What you definitely want with this card is to attack multiple times and to get value from it over and over again, but that takes some work. It's not like a 2/3 can just attack every single turn and survive.
I mean, but even as just as a defensive body early, and I think at the moment Luis Salvatto is adopting more of a defensive position with this deck, as we see now a Thundering Ceratok there and a Snare Spinner as well. Some of the options here in green. Green looks to be really open here.
I could see that maybe be a topic of discussion this weekend. Green is not your typical first pick color.
No, so it's a support color.
Exactly, and so that means especially when you're new to a format and you just have a few drafts under your belt, maybe the amount of decks with green in them or the amount of good green decks is not really something that is on the top of your mind. It's easier to have a busted deck in another color.
Let's see what's up next on the docket here for Salvatto. Will he allow his crunches to go unwrangled, or are we going to pick up another 2-drop here?
So what I've been super impressed by this draft from the very beginning, and now Luis knows exactly where he wants to be. Also, he knows that even if he gets only 3-star cards until the rest of the draft, his deck is still going to be amazing.
Have we got a 2-pack deck here, Simon?
It is basically a 2-pack deck.
It's almost a 2-pack deck, isn't it?
It's not quite, because he still needs cards, but he doesn't really care too much about how powerful they are.
No, as you say, like if he continues to just pick like middle rate, like good, reasonable cards for the rest of the draft, he's going to be in a great spot thanks to the hookup that he got early in this pack. And here, Old Mate Harold, he's going to get stuck in. 3-2, makes it 2-2 when he dies. This card's really good.
And I think this is actually the smartest thing you can do here. You just pick creatures, because creatures are always going to have give you the support you need. They're going to help you to get to that late game that you want to reach.
Oop.
So I really like this.
Look at this. We've had a return to sender. Address unknown. The delivery was not made, and it's gone all the way around the table. Is Salvatto going to take it here? I mean, he's thinking about Kaya's ghost form ahead of it.
Yeah, I mean, both of these cards are not too exciting. I don't think that you want to play Deliver Unto Evil in Limited. It looks promising, but then when you realize that 4 cards in the graveyard is actually quite a task, and then your opponent gets to choose, there are a lot of things that can go wrong.
A lot of hoops to jump through. Here is Unlikely Aid. So rounding out the second pack here, one that has treated Luis Salvatto most generously, a second copy of Unlikely Aid, or maybe here a Warscale Crocodile, just a little bit more beef up the top end.
I think Gideon is helping Rakdos there with the headache.
Oh yeah, he's giving a little head massage. Yep. A little bit of Theros cranial massage there as a Dovin's Veto now, almost certainly not going to be played, but Salvatto just
splash it with a few gateway
the
plazas.
Double splash. For
nobody expects it.
And his Teferi's Time Twist as well. But look, none of these cards are going to be of much importance here. Salvatto already got an absolute pistol of a deck. Arboreal Grazer, the final pick there. And things looking really, really good for the Player of the Year.
Absolutely. And we will be able to tell quite a bit from how quickly he put these cards away there. Those were his first picks. He has disbanded with them. And now it's just black-green Casualties of War gone to... And solid, maybe not the most exciting green cards, but you always have to imagine playing against this. Either you don't know what's coming, that means it looks like it's a decent green-black deck, and then the bombs just hit you. But even if you do know that they're coming, how do you play against this? You want to put pressure on a green-black deck. So Luis is now picking all these cheap creatures that trade favorably, but he has no pressure to pick up any more bombs or high casting cost cards.
This is what I wanted to touch upon. The fact that Luis Salvatto can now cruise, pick defensive cards, good removal, high toughness creatures, what have you, because he doesn't need ways to win the game.
Yep.
Casualties of War, Bontu, I mean, even Thundering Ceratok, this is enough of a top end that he already has here.
And
right?
he can still play Command the Dreadhorde, right? So, of course, removal is something that he would like, let's say, 1 or 2 more of. But if it's just a Death Touch creature or Vraska, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is exactly what he needs to get to the late game.
Yep, so things shaping up really well here for Luis Salvatto. He'd be sitting there with a big smile on his face right now if you told him this is what his deck was going to look like. Pack 2, and there's still another pack of War of the Spark to come here for the Argentinian superstar. And we'll keep an eye on this, Simon. Throughout the third pack, we're gonna note what his priorities are, and I think the biggest one is just going to be, as you say, interaction or ways to defend himself from an oncoming onslaught.
Exactly. So unless we're talking about real bombs that he can open, it's going to be about curve more so than power level.
All right, pack number 3. Let's see what's next up here for Luis Salvatto as we round out this second draft here at Mythic Championship 2, live here from London in the United Kingdom. Herald of the Dreadhorde, but a Bolus's Citadel right at the end of the pack there. Simon, tell me about this card in Limited.
I'm actually not the biggest fan.
I mean, 1 star we've given it here, but I mean, this card...
It looks very promising, but then when you realize that it costs 6 with a triple black cost, and you have to pay all that life, it actually becomes a card that is just potentially dead when you cast it. However, Luis already liked his Command the Dreadhorde. Maybe he's just a big fan of those cards.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's going to take it here. I think he's going to take it. This is huge. This is so good for Luis Salvatto. I mean, look, again, maybe he needs it for his EDH deck, and we can't fault him for taking it in that case. But Bolus's Citadel in a competitive draft at the Mythic Championship level, Luis Salvatto, I think he knows something we don't, Simon.
This is the first pick I'm really surprised about. The Command the Dreadhorde I didn't quite get, but this one, especially with how his deck is already looking, I wouldn't have expected him to want a 6-mana artifact.
Not a lot of life to play with as well. He's got that Centaur Nurturer to buffer his life total a little bit. He's got a Charity Extractor, but no, it's not as if he's just going to be able to storm off from the top of his library with his Citadel.
There was a Sorin's Thirst, for example, in the pack. That is not a great card in this format, I think, but still, there's a threshold to how bad it can be.
I'll tell you what is a good card in this format. That is Prison Realm, Simon. We talked about his ability to splash. He has put away the Commence the End Games and the Fire Starters, the Fire Twisters, and whatever else. But Prison Realm, I think, as a single-costed white card that is just unconditional removal against anything except the gods,
Yep.
I think it's a great pick.
And it doesn't compete with much here. It competes with another Grizzly. Maybe no. There's not much competition. So what you have to see here with Prison Realm that late in the draft, it's not actually like you're picking a Prison Realm for your deck, but you're picking a Prison Realm and the number of Gateway Plazas that you have to play in your deck to actually support it. However, there are at least 2 cards in Salvatto's pile that make any color of mana already.
Yeah.
So that makes it a lot easier to, for example, just play a single Plaza and go for it.
Here's a Bloomhawk, but it looks like it may be contested by that Sunblade Angel. Salvatto maybe doubling down on the white splash here, but I mean, you can't go past a Bloomhawk, right?
I wouldn't get too greedy here.
No, don't get too fancy.
Why? If unless Salvatto knows something we don't, which would be that this format is really super grindy and it's all about the late game power, which he has already basically demonstrated.
He's got it in spades. He's got it in Shovel Simon. But it's, as a result, going to be a Bloomhawk. As we've already talked about, a 4-star card for a 4/4 for 4 mana, and it's just a great rate, a good card, and a very defensible, solid pick for Salvatto. As we said, he doesn't need these enormous bombs. He's already got them. He wants to round out his deck and make sure it's as as sort of well-rounded as possible here.
That could actually be a nice removal spell to splash.
Alexa, Alexa, play Despacito.
So that you have just 2 white removal spells. Somehow you didn't pick up that many in black.
Yep, there it is. Despark is D-Spark, of course. Which Spark? That Spark there is going to enter the picks of Luis Salvatto here. And as we've talked about, he wants removal. He wants ways to interact, and this is going to be a good way, of course, to deal with opposing bombs, deal with opposing threats, while he's looking to for a way to leverage his own power there. Next on the docket.
Wow.
Drying up a little bit here, but another Bloomhawk is going to be a great pick for Salvatto.
I do like to have Aid the Fallen in my green-black decks. I think Salvatto doesn't quite have the number of Planeswalkers you would want to really get maximum value out of it, and it's just easy to pick a Bloomhawk here. It's always going to be great.
I mean, you're playing the 3rd Bloomhawk. You play
always.
like the 5th Bloomhawk.
Also that.
Yeah. So it's not one of those cards where there's diminishing returns. You're always happy to play a 4-mana 4/4. And again, we can move away from this is not a proliferate deck. There'll be some minor synergy with it, but by and large, Salvatto is taking this card because it is a 4-mana 4/4.
There will be the occasional army or just loyalty counter on a Planeswalker, but it's going to be rare.
Well, speaking of Planeswalkers, how about the Elder Spell to get rid of them? The other option, Herald of the Dreadhorde, second of his name here.
Luis hasn't passed a black rare in this draft, so
That's very true.
I just have to assume.
Very true.
Also, I think
Oh,
he's
dear.
just drafting the storyline somehow. So
Oh, he wants to share with us the rich lore of War of the Sparkman. No, not so.
the restraint.
Harry 2, here it is. Herald of the Dreadhorde coming in. That's the second one here for Salvatto. And a very good card. Nice sticky resilient threat and a nice defensive option here.
Also, effectively 5 power for 4 mana.
How about Stone Cold Nothing in this pack, Simon? We've got a Primordial Worm to play with, but it looks like Elite Guard Mage maybe finding favour with Salvatto here.
I think that's a defensive draft, something that Luis doesn't want his future opponents to have. Elite Guard Mage is such a push
What
card.
a card.
It's already insanely good in a vacuum. And then you realize that in this set, a 2/3 flyer
Oh my
is
goodness. Yep.
everything you've ever wanted.
Treasure Planeswalkers. Yep, absolutely. It's really, really good, especially in a grindy format like this. Another Centaur Nurturer. That's a nice one here. Oh, but a New Horizons. Another tough pick here for Salvatto.
That's really tough. And I kind of like the New Horizons
Yeah,
for curve reasons.
And Bloomhawk, right?
You have 3 Bloomhawks already, so this is the reason to play New Horizons for curve and proliferate purposes. And
Well,
the Centaur Nurturer
no.
is competing.
Are you, have you eaten? Are you hungry, or do you want to just eat some of your own words right now? Are you good? Because it looks like it is going to be the Centaur Nurturer after all. But no, look, Simon, I agree with you. I think the New Horizons, there was a strong case to be made for it.
It's probably good that not having it doesn't incentivize you to think about playing Commence the Endgame as well.
Yeah. You get caught in that trap. Here's Angrath's Rampage again. I don't think this is a card he's interested in playing, but just going to take it out of the pack there.
Although we've been talking about the White Splash, right now, as far as I can tell, the White Splash would be entirely supported by 5-color mana fixing. So in the end, Salvatto can really play whatever he deems to be the best splashing options, and it's not going to be a high cost.
Guild Globe picked up now, and another Charity Extractor. That's the second one here. And we are going to close out the draft now in pretty convincing fashion for Salvatto. He's really put together a real barnstormer of a deck, I have to say. Here's a Crowl Stinger. That's a nice late-game pickup for him. We talked about him wanting to pick up a death touch creature or two. That's a freebie.
And maybe a 3-drop. I don't know exactly how his curve looks like, but that would be my main concern. The amount of 2 and 3 drops compared to 4, 5, 6.
And here's Willow rounding out the picks, and a Shriek Diver to close things out. And Simon, if you were in Luis Salvatto's position, it's round 1 of the Mythic Championship. You've sat down, you've drafted this deck. You would have to be feeling pretty confident heading into the opening stage of the tournament, because I would have to say he's drafted a deck that you can very easily see winning the entire draft 3-0.
I agree, and I think if you were to interview him, he would say, this is a 2-1 deck, but I could 3-0 with this. You never have the guarantee that you will 3-0.
Of course not, but sometimes you draft a deck, you're just like, I mean, I'm going to be lucky to get the second win here. But I think Salvatto will be happy with a 2-1 and not even surprised if he gets the 3-0.
A good measure is actually if you ask a player if you could choose to have this deck before drafting, would you take it?
Yeah, and I think he'd just snap it off.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. There you go. So that is the draft of Luis Salvatto, the Argentinian Player of the Year. We'll be following his progress with great interest throughout the following rounds, my friends. Of course, 3 rounds of Limited coming your way, and then after that, of course, 5 rounds of Modern. I can't wait. Simon can't wait. We all can't wait to bring it to you here at Team Coverage. But that is that for our drafting portion. Stick around, everyone, because in a very short amount of time, we will be back with live draft matches. You're not going to want to miss it here at Mythic Championship 2 in London.